There we are. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another Glow Daily, where we will be talking about why healthy relationships are important to the kingdom and healing. And so, we just want you guys to please like, tag, and share the message that we will be presenting to you guys today. We have a lot of good information that we want to get out to you guys. We're about to get ready to start our mental health summit tomorrow. We're excited about it. We just want to say thank you again to Northeast Missionary Baptist Church in Oklahoma City for allowing us to come in and open you up to a new world of therapy done God's way. And so today we're just going to dive right into what God is wanting to do with this message. So we're going to start with 1 Corinthians 15 and 33. And the word says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And with understanding that it does matter about the company that you keep, we most definitely understand that character in the body of Christ has to do with the fruits of the Spirit. And so, with that being said, how important is it for you to have people around you that display the same fruit as you to now help you on your healing journey? And so, as we dive and dissect these scriptures, as well as just elaborate on the importance of walking through this in a therapeutic way, we just want you guys to be aware of the importance of what God is just wanting to do in these moments when we're speaking. So I will open the floor up to my team to elaborate and share.
So thank you, Tatiana. So when we talk about healthy relationships, I think the first thing people go to is romantic relationships, right? Which is important. Obviously, who we're connected to romantically, who we decide to date, marry, and have children with is obviously an important aspect of our life. But what we don't talk enough about is platonic relationships, your friendships, or your family. All of those relationships can have a detriment to your healing, especially in the kingdom as well. So we even talk about the people that we attend church with or Bible study with. And so God talks about making sure that we have discernment over our lives when it pertains to the people that we connect to in our lives.
Yeah.
And so I point to when we talk about those relationships, even outside of romantic ones, because they can be just as detrimental um, as a romantic relationship if you're not connected and around the right people in your healing journey in that season of your life.
Or even affecting your romantic relationships. When you were saying that just about friends and platonic relationship, family members, church, who you connected to, not just in this season, but the seasons to come are very, very important. You know, God has a plan for us all, but the enemy does too. And when we were talking about this, I was just talking to the ladies as far as past relationships, friends, and I say this not in a condemning type of way. I feel like everybody plays a part in your life, and God shuts doors when it's time. But I remember going through hardships, going through divorce, losing a child, all these things. And the people I had closest to me were the ones that were causing a lot of the friction in my life, unbeknownst to me. So in life, we're all facing things, we're all walking through things, and it's important on our healing journey that we connect to people who share the same goals and visions as for health and healthiness as we do. I was just talking to the team, like, man, and walking through the things that we've been walking through lately. If I would have had the same people around me while I was walking through anything now, I don't think I would be sitting here talking today. But the blessing is God has placed me in a great family with great friends, a great church home, supportive people. Who you connected to matters because we're supposed to be building each other up. So when you think about the people that you're connected to today, do they truly build you up, or are you connected to people that tear you down?
That's good. Which now goes off into my second scripture, which is coming from 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. Do not be unequally bound together with unbelievers. Do not make mismatched alliances with them, inconsistent with your faith. For what partnership can righteousness have with lawlessness? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? And so, that being said, it's not just even about friendships alone, but also relationships, as well as now we're talking about friendships, because even as business partners, we most definitely want to make sure that we have the same vision. We want to make sure that we have the same understanding in where we're going. And so, as well as just like we want to have the same motive, because if you
Mhm.
are connected to people that have the wrong motives at heart, and they are against you, and they're plotting to make sure that there's a demise of who you are, um, whether it's jealousy, envy, whatever that looks like, then you will most definitely end up in a place that you're not wanting to be in, or you never thought that you would be in. But once again, just praying for that discernment, just praying for God, but also understanding that the word says, test the spirit by
Mhm.
the spirit. And if the spirit is not of God, you will know. God most definitely will not hide that from you.
Mhm.
God wants us to be able to know who's around us. If we ask for exposure of people, especially what's in their heart, if God is looking at our heart, why wouldn't He allow us to see what
Secret people.
people's hearts look like? So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. That's a great scripture. And usually when we talk about being unequally yoked in the church, we always make it about romantic relationships, right? Don't be connected to this man that's only don't be connected to this woman that's only yoked, which again is important. But do you know if you're unequally yoked with a friend, how what road they can lead you down, what things they can have you connected to, what things they can have you engaged in?
Yeah.
Um, me and Tatiana have been friends for nearly 30 years, almost at this point, majority of our lives. And we've all went through stages of our friendship, obviously, and stages through our lives. But at the end of the day, I knew that she wasn't going to intentionally do anything that was going to hurt me. And I wasn't going to do anything intentionally that was going to hurt her. Even when we weren't as close to God as we are now, this stage in our life, that was a foundation, right?
Yeah.
You have people who don't come from that foundation.
yeah,
Yes.
They don't have it. Not in their 20s, not in their 30s, not in their 40s, not in their 50s. They just don't have that foundation. And so when you don't, you have to let those people know that I love you, but this is not where I'm headed, and you have to be able to walk away, and that's hard, even for us. I can speak for myself on this. Change is difficult. Letting people go that you know for a long time is difficult, but your relationship with God and where He's trying to lead you is more important than any relationship. And let's be honest, He will connect you with the right people, way
Yeah.
better than what you're letting go of,
yeah,
Yeah.
way better than what you're letting go of. But you have to put Him in your healing journey where He's trying to send you to over anything else and anyone matter. And so, who we choose to be in our life, choice, friendships, platonic relationships, even our family members who we choose to have in our life, it's a choice. We get to make that decision.
yeah,
Yeah, when we were talking about this, but good point, because God literally was like in my head, I gotta be the person first. And then you said it. But no, I was thinking about that when you were talking. I could just hear God on that. Trust, right, is a big thing in relationships. And, God has really shown me how to trust Him.
mhm,
And with God, me being able to trust Him with myself, it has allowed me, He shows me who I can trust with my stuff, if that makes sense.
yeah,
The most healthiest, the most important relationship that we must all have first is with God.
Mhm.
And, let's talk about what a relationship really is. That's a relationship where it's two people reciprocating, right?
Mhm.
Our relationships are not one sided.
yeah,
So again, as you're listening, think about that in your life. Do you see yourself always the one reaching out? Do you see yourself always as the one giving? There's a difference between being in a relationship with someone and being used.
Mhm.
yes,
So even with that being said, going back to God, what you were saying, Darnisha, like how you connected with Tatiana, even at a time where we were not the closest of God, right? But there are divine relationships. I have my best friend, Rachel. She's been my best friend since high school through the ups and downs, thick and thin through life. That's a person that has stood beside me through everything. But when you think about it, that's God too. I just had shared a post this morning. Ironically, our topic was on the relationship we have with God, but I've allowed God to be everything to me, and not in the sense of Gail doesn't do anything. I have a part to play in the relationship with God too. He asked us to come to Him. He asked us to get to know Him. He asked us to spend time with Him. He asked to give up our time, things too. So, and also the biggest thing about a healthy relationship is if you're wanting to be healthy, if you're wanting to be healed, you do have to take inventory of other people's lives around you, not in a judgmental way, but how can a broken person help you get yourself back together again?
Yeah. So my question to pose is so for a person that has been in friendships for 10 plus years or more, but they know they need to break away, can you give them some tools to be able to detach from those situations, to let go and move forward and open themselves up to something new?
I think it's stages to that. Don't be like me, y'all. Because I hold on for dear life in my relationships, and I always end up getting the short end of the stick. God will be telling me to leave. God will be telling me to disconnect. But what you said, the question posing, I truly believe you will sense in your sensor, in your knower, in your soul, like something has changed. I was around friends since elementary school, high school, and then it would just be like, man, something has changed. And could never put my finger on it. Then when God separated us, just things would just come out. And you know that saying, it just had me think of, don't get mad when God separates you from people because he heard things that they were saying behind
Here.
you
Yeah.
wasn't there. And that be the story of my life. And
Yes.
I just started thanking God over times of being separated from people because God knows people's hearts.
Oh,
We
yeah.
don't. And thank you, Pastor Gwen. She said, this is great teaching. Thank you so much. But truly, so just answering your questions, I know anybody listening out here, you will be wondering to yourself, why all of a sudden is it a switch up? Why do you feel a certain type of way? This is when you start taking it back to God because he's that discernment. He's trying to tell you something. And people will think you tripping. People will think you crazy. Like, what? But you just got to know. Before I came into God, and truly knowing, like, oh, this is discernment. The words that we use as
Right.
believers, I just know, I just feel it. And that's just the truth, like something off. And people would say, oh, no, you tripping. 5 months later, you find out everything. I was not tripping. So,
I think too. I think this is probably going to be an uncommon response to, but ending a friendship doesn't always have to be, or stepping away from people doesn't always have to be some
Agreed.
catastrophic event that happened.
mhm,
Sometimes you
mhm.
just need time away to reevaluate. Okay, where I am in life, and sometimes you need to take away the noise in order to do that. So doesn't mean you don't love your friend. Doesn't mean you're not going to call them back up. Doesn't mean you're not going to be close to them again. It just simply means I need to take inventory of my life, and oftentimes we need to do that with the least amount of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it doesn't always have to be something catastrophic happen. If God is telling you, I need more time with you and less time with your friends, because this is a season where I need you to listen to everything I'm saying without any distractions, then if they're really a friend, they won't take that as a slight at them. They'll say, okay, well, when you're ready to talk, let me know, and it goes from there. It doesn't have to be a negative experience, and I think sometimes we equate that. And this is how you know how powerful friendships are, because people grieve the loss of friendships, especially when they go down in a negative way. Like you grieve a divorce or you grieve the breakup of a relationship. People grieve friendships. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And so, like you would take inventory of your romantic relationship when things aren't going well, you have to take that same inventory with your friends. And if they really, even if they're not as far along in their journey as God as you are, if they love you enough that your friendship, they'll be like, okay, I get it. You know, this is where you're at, and you got to do what you got to do, and let you do you.
Yeah.
As opposed to seeing it as a direct slight at them, you would literally be able to take inventory of that immediately.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think people need to understand that sometimes having that time away from that friend, or even having to disconnect from that friendship closeness, that it doesn't always have to be a negative experience. It could simply be, this is where I'm at this stage in my life, and this is what I need right now in this stage of my life.
Right.
I
I
think that
was.
goes
I,
back to real friends. But what you were saying, Darnisha, I just wanted to say, I think what I was hearing in that, and what we all try to do and within our relationships, is that's respect. If you come to me and say, "Hey, girl, I need to take a break," or I'm not feeling this way. I'm not trying to control you, right? That's
Mhm.
healthy. I can say, I hear you well. I respect that. I wish you well on your journey. I pray we connect again. Although that's not always the case, but when that's ever been the case, even when we leave a job, you do
Mhm.
it right. You do it with excellency, with everything. Just respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
was just I was just gonna say, listening to what you were saying, Darnisha, as far as when it comes to friendships, don't always have to end on bad terms. There, were friends that I had for 20 plus years that God asked me to walk away from. Now, people may not understand, even myself, I didn't understand at that time why God would just simply ask me to walk away from people. And it wasn't that any love was ever lost. The love is even still there. So when I see them, I still love on them because I still care. I feel like sometimes God has to separate us in order to elevate us. And sometimes those people are just not prepared to help you with your elevation. And so we all have to get to a place of just understanding, like, when the time comes for me to reach back, most definitely I will. And as long as you have still been in right standing in God and you didn't put any dirt on my name, you most definitely will be able to come up with me when it's time. And so it's just being okay with letting it go. Sometimes we want to harbor and hold on to people as if we'll never find anybody else. And the reality of it is that you actually may actually find something better, whether that's in friendships, relationships, or even in any type of partnership. You may be actually looking for or seeking God for the certain thing. He's like, I have it. It just makes me think about that picture that was going around, and it's supposed to be a picture of Jesus, and he has this big large teddy bear behind his back, and the little girl has the small teddy bear, but she's like, I'm holding on tight to this, but God is like, I have something so much more for you. And a lot of times I feel like people want to hold on to what's familiar when they're going through a process.
Yeah,
And some you have to be able to let go of what's familiar and what's made you comfortable, because how can you grow in an area, in a space that will continue to always say yes?
yeah,
What How do you grow in a space that will continue to just be your cheerleader even though they know you're wrong?
Darrow.
you know and
hmm
so you have to be able to just break away from what's just unhealthy for even you in that moment. I don't need to be enabled, I need to grow. So that means I need to have correction. Okay, that means I need to have constructive criticism. So and not taking that to be offended, but taking that, oh, okay, yep, and now I'm being held accountable.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have people that will hold you accountable. I don't need cheerleaders that is just going to cheer me on and cheer me into destruction.
Mhm.
I need people that's going to cheer me on, love me, and love me through my mistakes, and then say, hey, but this is how you can get it right the next time, and be
Mhm.
okay with that. But I feel like a lot of times what happens in kingdom and in just within the body at large is that we forget that we were in that space at one point in time ourselves.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
now it's just I'm looking at you from the place of your mistake, and I'm not looking at you to love you through it, just like I was helped and loved through it, or we dish out what we were given. And
Mm.
I wasn't,
That
you
is
know,
so
I was
easy.
giving tough love, so I'm going to give you tough love. And not everybody responds the same to that. And so we have to see that it's important to make sure that we allow the right people in our space as we are healing, so that way we're not further damaged during the process.
Good. That's good, Tatiana. Whether you're new to us or not, I share my journey openly about losing my child. And when I lost my child, I was in a space of getting to understand who God was through the situation, but I was still worldly. I'm from Tulsa, y'all. I love a good party. So at first, the things that I was doing, the people I was around, I felt like that was what I was needing. But when God called me to truly heal, it did separate me from a lot of people, and it wasn't really necessarily because of them. It was because of what I needed, and I didn't even understand that. To be G.L.O.W, G.L.O.W, God, love, order, and wisdom, at a time where I was G.L.O, straight hood. God transformed my life. I needed that. And he brought the people alongside me to help me heal. You ladies were two of them. It helped me heal. Y'all directed me back to God. You didn't try to give me the answers. Y'all had me in my closet studying my word. You brought me back to God. And this is when we talk about healthy relationships and why it's needed when you're healing. Some people only know healing through not so good techniques. Let's just smoke, let's just drink, let's just party. Go out there and get as many men as you want. I was going through a divorce too. And not saying that, right? That's what we do. In our therapy world, we call it unhealthy coping mechanism. But you have to think, how is that helping you?
Yeah,
And God had to really get me to people that could help me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and so our closest circles, the people that we keep, and as women, you constantly people say, "Oh, don't tell your girlfriends everything. Don't tell them these things." And I always tell, and my best friend to tell you that I don't have all the answers. She knows that. She understands that. I don't. There's not. It's not everything that you come across. I'm having an answer for. I'm not. That's just the reality of the world. It's some things that she's went through I've never even encountered. I'm not gonna have an answer for that. But I know that God will. I know I can support her in that. I know I can pray for her. Um, I know if there is anything small that I can help to ease whatever that is that I'm able to do within my own source and power, that I can. But God can do much more than I can do on my own. And so even in moments where there was nothing I can do, would just be a listening ear and direct her back to God and pray together, I was able to do that. And you have to have people that are like that, because as women, especially as Black women, we like to be fixers in our own lives, in the lives of other people.
yeah,
And the reality is that we can't fix everything. That's just how God created us. None of us can fix everything. But being a good friend, you have control over. Being in the lives of people who support you, you have control over. And when those relationships and friendships no longer serve you, you have the choice to go to where people who do,
Right.
and appreciate who you are and can serve you well. And God can lead you to that.
yeah,
And so it's so hard to give up on things that we're so familiar with, but um, you don't know what you don't know, meaning there could be so much better on the other side. And when God is involved, there is something better on the other side. And that's what we teach in Glow Stars. Like, you don't have to stay stuck in this situation. You convince yourself you have, because we will convince ourselves for some things, but you don't have to do anything. You're choosing to stay in a situation that no longer has not been serving you,
Right.
and you know that. And so I want people to remember that through your healing journey, that you have choices to make. You don't have to stay stuck in anything. It's gonna look different. It may even hurt a little bit emotionally. In some cases, it may hurt a lot bit
yeah,
emotionally, but you don't have to stay stuck in anything. And there is something better on the other side of your healing journey when we let go of some of the things that we've held on to. And I'm talking about even just mindsets. So not just relationships, but mindsets, thinking processes, habits that have no longer served us. And so when we're talking about the things that we allow in our life, especially in the kingdom, especially during our healing journey, we likely have to let go quite a few things. And some of those things we really like. But God is saying it's not good for you in this season. You can't have that. You got to let that go.
Right.
Right.
And so we have to even think about that with the people we allow in our lives.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, you know, you don't know what you are capable of and what you can do until you try.
Until you try.
And a lot of times I feel like we're afraid to try, to whether that's to be by ourselves. You know, being divorced now, I had to walk into a space of abstaining. And when you have been married and in something that you know you thought was going to be lasting or whatever the case may be, and you got to do things that married people get to do. And now as a single woman, I had to now make the choice to truly allow myself to heal, because now walking on this healing journey, and seeing that I am capable to abstain, and seeing that God most definitely will grace you for the season that you're coming into.
Mm.
Um, a lot of times it most definitely could be scary because it's uncharted,
Um,
you know, territory.
yeah.
And for those that know me, like as far as being single, I mean, you know, that just wasn't me, you know. So I've always been in a situation to where I've had access to things, you know, that married people have access to. And so it's different, you know, being on the other side. But I knew that this time I could not allow myself to jump into a relationship that and I was still broken, but I knew that would also open up and allow me the enemy to have access to me in ways that I did not want to give him. Um, and so I had to be like, hey, you have to do something different in order to get now a new result. And so we can't be afraid to get the new results. A lot of times we don't get the results we want in weight loss. We don't get the results we want in marriage, friendships, relationships, whatever that looks like, because we haven't actually taken the time to actually sit back and actually evaluate what transpired. How did I get here?
Yeah.
You have to be able to know what led me into this. And let's just be real, y'all. Not everything is always on the other person. You
Mhm.
got to do some self evaluation for you, boo. How did you get here? You know,
Mhm.
and
Accountability is big.
most definitely. How did I get into this space? And then now start answering those questions and not running from them. And guess what? Running to people does not help you in those situations, trying to mask how you feel, and whether that's with alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever it is, it does not help the wound. It breaks it open even more. And so the bigger the wound, the deeper the hurt, and you're just hurting yourself time and time again. Every time you engage in it, every time you open yourself into it, every time you even open your ear gates to the negative thought processes, or open your ear gates to the negative words that is being spoken to you by others. What people say to you in these times of separation from people, places, and things will out will put you in positions to where either you're going to make right decisions or wrong decisions. Like the word says, do not be misled, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Do not be misled, right? Bad company corrupts good character. And so I want to protect my character. I want to protect the fruit that I've worked so hard on this process
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
right? I want to protect that. So how do I do that? That
So,
means I have to be okay with you know, walking away from people, places, and things, and protecting me first. If you don't take care of you first, it just makes me think about the airplane.
Yeah.
When you get on the airplane, what do they tell you?
Put the oxygen
put
mask
your
on.
mask on
I'm
your
down with a
suit.
mask on. You put the mask on yourself first, and then you help the person that needs help next to you. If we don't take care of ourselves, this society has made taking care of yourself seem like it's selfish
Selfish.
or
Mm.
whatever. But if you don't take care of yourself, then how do you even have enough life to give to somebody else?
I was gonna. That was really good, Tatiana. I was gonna piggyback on your accountability portion of that, because part of having people around us that love and care about us is they keep us accountable, right? And you two ladies have definitely been accountable for me in moments where I wasn't sure, like I wasn't sure about a decision, or maybe I wasn't doing something that was in the best interest of me in the journey that you guys know that I'm trying to accomplish and go on. And so when people can be when people you have people that can be accountable for you, it makes you a lot more accountable for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now I can, I'm willing to tell my wrongdoings before y'all do. Like, look, y'all, I know I was supposed to be doing no sugar, but man, that donut was good. I'm willing to tell on myself first, because I'm accountable for my behavior. And the world doesn't look like that, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
abstaining. As someone who's
Yeah.
single, who's never been married, and decided several years ago on this journey of abstinence, it was tough. It's still tough, and some days are harder than others. And people who are not currently walking that journey and totally understand it don't get why it's like that. And I have to explain to this, because this is a journey that God currently has me on, and He has a plan for my life. I didn't think that way 5 years ago when I started this journey. I just knew that I needed to do something different. But the longer I was on this journey, God revealed why He put me on this journey. And just imagine if I had friends around me that were still doing all those things, still out here having sex, still being in relationships they shouldn't be in, still going from man to man, still not doing those things, and then I'm trying to live this lifestyle. Yeah, that I would have had way more mess ups than good luck. You know what I'm saying, in this journey. And so being on this journey with women who are on the same journey I am, who understands why God put us on this journey and are walking this same journey with me, makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier for accountability. It makes us encourage each other on those days that are rough. It makes us understand why God is here for us. And so if my relationships and the people around me were doing something the total opposite of where I'm going, you tend to, like you said, bad company corrupts it. I would eventually have been corrupted by that, because I'm in that environment and around people who don't honor this walk that I'm currently on. And so you have to be with people, even in friendships, platonic and otherwise, and definitely in the kingdom, that are wanting you to go on that plan that God has for you in your life. Um, because you don't want to you don't want to be misled, and you don't want to displease God trying to please people.
Yeah. That's good.
So when you all were talking, what God was telling me, the biggest thing about healthy relationships and relationships in general is reflection. And the people that you're connected to should be a reflection of you. And if they're not a reflection of you, and when I say reflection, that means even if I'm not around Tatiana Darnisha, I should reflect the character of who they are, of who I'm connected them to. Same with God. Um, I carry myself in such a way because I am a reflection of Him. When you're married, that's a relationship, right? Your spouse is a reflection of you. I can't be one way in their face and a whole totally different way behind their back. So because it'll look, are they fake?
Yeah.
Are they doing something they're not supposed to be doing? I
Mhm.
tell what Darnisha was saying about us being accountability partners. I tell my partners and my best friend, my church home, everything. I'm truly transparent in the sense of my character, my name, who I am. If I'm connected to you, that's a reflection of you too. So everything that I walk through, everything that I do, I have to be aware of how would this affect Darnisha, Tatiana, Rachel, my church home, my family, my kids. And certain things we can't control, right?
Mhm.
But the things that we can control, that's our control too. So if I'm a reflection, I can't be connected to anything or anyone that is lower, that presents me in a lower stance or a lower light than who I truly am or who the people are around are truly connected to. So that's important to think about when we talk about healthy relationships. Do your character, do your traits, even what you do behind doors reflect the positivity, reflect the character of what your relationship truly is?
Yeah, that's
That's good. That's good. I agree. I agree totally. Um, and you know the old saying, "Birds of a feather flock together." You know, I used to think that was. I just think it's interesting because I had moments where I felt like I wasn't like my friends, like I was different. But in reality, the similarities is likely what brought us together. So there was more alike then I may be certain things that I just didn't do that they did. But there were more similarities there at that stage than there were differences, shall I say. So we have to choose the flock that we are putting ourselves attached to
yeah.
and together in. And it is a reflection of us. You
Yeah.
know, I remember when Tatiana, when we were in undergrad, and our mothers couldn't tell our voices apart. We thought it was the weirdest thing in the world because we don't think we sound anything alike. But by that time, we had spent so much time together, even back then, that it was a possibility. It didn't even cross our minds that we sounded anything alike. But you tend to be more like those people that you are spending a lot of time with and that you're around. You know,
Yeah.
me and Gail are first cousins, so I've known her entire life since I'm
She
older.
ain't like me though. But no, yes.
But the crazy thing about it is that there were times where we were almost nothing alike.
Hmm.
There were times where they'd be like, "Gail, yo,
All right.
come
Okay.
here," and I was like, "Yeah, that's fine."
I changed, y'all. You see, glow stars.
I'd be like, "Yeah, that's
I
my
did
cousin,"
therapy.
you know, because although there were similarities, but the biggest parts of us were vastly different. Didn't love her any less for that. It's just who we were at that particular time. But even now that we're closer and we have this business together and we're on a similar path of where God is trying to take us, we have become a lot more alike
Uh-huh.
in that sense. And so I appreciate her for always being authentically herself because even as someone who's a few years older, I've learned. I'm actually the oldest, so I've learned from both of them tremendously a lot through this walk. Again, you want to be around people that you can learn from and that you can trust. And as much as we're alike, there's so many differences about us that actually is so
Yeah.
interesting because we all have these interesting strengths that we actually be like, I wish I was a little bit more like that person in this area. Um, and my strengths helps them, their strengths help me, and so forth and so on. And so you want to have people around you that you can continuously learn from, and they have those things that you can admire about their personality and who they are. And if you don't have that, you will see that. You will eventually, if you go through this journey and talk to God and go through your healing journey and make the changes in your life, you will see they will become real big what those things are. And then you'll realize, okay, what is it that I really need in my life? What is God trying to show me? And then those really good friendships will continue to go in your life. I still have really good friendships outside of these ladies. But my friendships with them are different.
Yeah.
That doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make them, they want to see me grow and be happy and all of those things. It's just that my friendships are different. And that's okay too. I want people
Mhm.
to know that that's okay too. You ain't got to have, all your friendships don't have to look the same. That's
Right.
okay too. But you have to know what type of people and the fruit they carry though. Now that's important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Most definitely. So I kept hearing a lot of times in just relationships in general, we tend to idolize people. And
Absolutely.
so because we make people idols and we set a standard, right, or expectation for them, when they fall short and disappoint us, then we're like, I would have never thought that about this person, right? I would have never thought they would have did X, Y, Z or hurt me in this type of way, right? And so God is wanting us to make sure that He's the first relationship that we are strongly into, right? That we're
Right.
in an intimate place with Him to where there is completely no separation. I've said it on a live before, and I'll say it again. I told God if He ever asked me to walk away from my mom, I would.
Mhm.
And I would have no problem with that. So if I've walked away from friendships, if I walked away from situations that were hurtful and harmful towards me and that would delay or derail my destiny, I'm willing to walk away from it. And so we can't put even parents in places in the space where God is supposed to occupy and hold. And so we have to stop as a people allowing people to now dictate what we're going to do within our lives. And
Mhm.
so nobody knows the personal relationship that none of us has with God, right? So if God doesn't tell Gail, because God isn't going to tell Gail what he told me about me as far as
Mhm.
what he's asking me to do in this
Mhm.
personal season, right?
Right.
Now, God may give confirmation and she may have something to share that is going to now encourage me that I'm making the right choice, that I did hear from God. But he is not going to be like ultimately like, hey, I told Gail this too, and so we have to be intentional about our relationships with especially with God, and then also intentional about the relationships that we have outside, whether friendships, any type of partnership, romantic relationships, or whatever. And so we have to be really more intentional. And a lot of times it said, okay, I heard Darnisha say, well, does this relationship serve me? But my thing is does this relationship direct me back to God? Does
Mhm.
Yeah,
this
that's the big.
relationship give me godly wisdom and counsel? Does this relationship ultimately push me towards my destiny? Or is this relationship actually taking more out of me and I'm actually pouring out more than I'm being poured into? And so we have to look at all the different aspects of relationship and even the stages of them. I have a friend that I've only known her for a year, y'all.
Hmm.
And it seems like I've known her forever because it was divinely orchestrated by God Himself. And where Gail and Darnisha have not been able to be there, because guess what? Life is happening to everybody. There has been things that God has had my friend Ariana to just step in and be just a refreshing for me, just to take some weight off of me, where Gail just didn't have time, and Darnisha living in all the way in Oklahoma City. Thank you. You need
Yeah,
to
we've been trying to get to Tulsa. That's a new convent.
find your way back home. No.
Yeah.
um, and so I've been most definitely blessed, and my children have been blessed by her. She stepped up in ways that I would have never saw in an immediate way. It wasn't just something that it just happened over time. It's like, hey, she stepped in like, here, I'm here, to the point to where we call each other prima, just because, which means cousin. Um, because my daughter was just
Say
like,
best friend. Cannot say best
why
friend.
are you calling friend? Why are you calling her friend? And I was like, because she's my friend. She was like, no, that's our cousin. you know, and so it's just one of those things when you know that people are truly there for you and they
There
have
for
the
you.
heart of God, and you will see that they're authentic and genuine. You will see it, you
Yes,
will
yes,
know it, you will feel it, and they will display it. They don't want anything from you
Mhm.
to
There
cheer
you
you
go.
on and make sure that you're in a good space, to make sure that you're happy. And like Darnisha said, us as women, especially Black women, we want to fix things. And even when we can't fix it, at least to be able to say, okay, well, God, what can I do? How
Mhm.
can I be of a support? And even in that aspect of while you're on your healing journey, you even understanding some, it's okay to step away from people. But also, even if you see people starting to walk away from you, don't try to make
it's
them.
okay. Hmm.
Don't try to make people stay. If you don't want to be here,
Yeah.
there's the door. You can go and be okay with people walking away. Sometimes God allows the people to walk away, and he will start to shift you, and then he will put you in a hiding to where, guess what, people can't even see you, they don't recognize you, but it's for your own good and your own protection, and being okay that you're not seen. I remember one time I was talking to Gil, and I was like, I like attention, and then in this season of my life, I've gotten none. And so, and but here's the thing. But now the attention that I'm seeking is the attention from God. I'm not seeking it from people. And so we have to understand that there is a lesson in everything that we're going to experience in life. While we're healing, we have to understand there's lessons, there's things about ourselves that need to be unlocked. There's things that, only people, certain people can unlock within us. If you're not under the right leadership, you may not get unlocked in some areas that you need to be unlocked in. If you are not around the right people that knows how to pull things out of you or push you into a thing or impart into you, then you may need to just start reevaluating the people that you're around, the places that you're going into and entering in. A hookah lounge is not going to be the answer. A bar is not going to be the answer. And if you're in the wrong church, that's not going to be the answer either.
And I thought this. Go ahead. I think that's good. We tend to put a lot of emphasis on time with friendships, but some of those most genuine friendships could come later in your life. That's just the reality. That's how God works. So I'm always a proponent that if someone truly wants to, Now I'm not one of those people that seek out people. That's just not who God has called me to be. But if you bring someone to me, then I'm okay with that. But there is no time frame for good, healthy friendships and relationships. It's people that met each other and was married in 3 months and still married for 20, 30, to death do them part. And so, but they were with somebody prior to that person for 5 years and never married them. So time is not an example of loyalty. Time is not an example of how people will be good to you. God sees is that no matter how much time you have chosen to waste with someone, he can restore it anyways. So you can have that really close relationship and only know that person for 6 months. We don't have to put an emphasis on time for our loyalty to someone or allowing someone good and who God has placed there. Time doesn't equate to that.
Yeah.
And for the kingdom, yes, who we connected to in church, that makes a big difference. They can bring out the best in you. That can give you opportunities that you may not had otherwise being in other churches. I was a part of one church for years. And I even served in that church. And wasn't necessarily a bad place. It's just I didn't have any real growth in that church. So I don't want to say it was a bad church, but for me personally, I just didn't have any growth there. And then going to another church and having the opportunity to bring our mental health summit there, having an opportunity to get, for him to be able to help me with other things and projects that we may have in the future because of his connections and the people that he knows. And so that makes a huge difference in who you're a part of and who you allow to be a part of where we're trying. God told us even with starting G.L.O.W that we're going to have people that are going to come to us and we're going to be able to take G.L.O.W exactly where it needs to go. And that starts with who we are connected. We've been blessed to have people, families that really support us, what we want to do, that has continually encouraged us to get the word out there. And everybody doesn't have, we understand because of the type of work we do, that everybody doesn't have that support. Everybody does not have it.
I was just going to piggyback because that's what I was going to say. I thank God in this era of our lives. Coming back to Tulsa, God sent me straight to Kingdom Church. Tatiana got planted at Ignite Church with Pastor Katria. My pastor is on here now, Pastor Gwen. Like you said, Pastor Michael, he supports everything that we do. Your leadership is truly, truly important. Us being planted in the churches that God has planted us in this season of our lives, we didn't know when we was going to start back low. But when we get poured into and they pulling out stuff in us and having us lead church services and speak messages in front of the church. I'm like, oh, I can do anything. So your relationships, especially your leadership, is very, very important, especially if you want to grow, if you want to heal. That's been the biggest thing when you're connecting. Why are we talking about healthy relationships? Again, it goes back to who or what you connected to. If you don't feel or see growth in that relationship, in that church home, even in the family, let God allow you to place you in a place where you can grow. A lot of times people don't want to, people will see it in you. I'm sure friends, old connections saw stuff in us, but they didn't want that to happen to us. They didn't want us to get to the point where we're at even now, because that's a threat. So being connected to people that's like, oh, you amazing, it makes you feel amazing. You want to be amazing because these people call that out and they see this in you. My last point, I was looking at the word heal and looking at the word healthy, whether it's spiritual health, emotional, physical health, spiritual health. The thing about healthy is the first four letters of that word is heal.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about this, any relationship that is healthy is helping you heal.
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
That's
That's
good.
good
That's
too.
good.
I
And
know I gotta come with something deep.
no, no, no. Because it's real. No, no, that's real good because it's real. Everything as far as we touched on it a little bit yesterday. If you are broken, then that's what you open yourself up to, is to connect to something else or someone else, right? A broken spirit, right? And so the enemy uses relationships to now try to get us off, track, to delay our destinies, or even to destroy them. If we are truly not tuned into God, and listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit, if we're not tuned into Him truly, then we will miss the mark. We cannot do this on our own. This is, and guess what? God didn't design us to have to walk these things out on our own. He has
Mm-hmm.
purposely set people around us that can help cultivate our gifts, to help us to understand what we're supposed to be doing. We just have to now, as we heal, and as we're on this journey, see that people are not coming in to hurt us, that we do actually, that there will be people that actually want to see the best that comes out of our lives. And so we can't be so afraid to heal because we're so stuck with the familiar of the toxic, of the generational of what the family system looked like. Oh, we always got that one crazy family, and you hear Black families say that all the time. It's always that one crazy family member, right? But make sure that you're not the one crazy family member that everybody is talking about, and being okay with that.
Darnita, we were just at the party. Everybody was talking about my stories. God, I was like, I came a long way then.
Yes, as Apostle always says, to God be the glory.
God
Uh,
be the glory.
so I'm grateful to God for allowing us to come together, because I would have never thought that Gail will be a part of my circle. But you don't even know who you need,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
But God does. God knows who's going to help strengthen you and sharpen those tools. He knows that who needs to be around you in moments, like of despair or whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that have been there for me in the hardest times are the people that I want to be able to celebrate with. Um,
Yes.
because they were there to help push me into greatness, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we just have to be mindful overall of what are we holding on to, and who are we holding on to, and why are we holding on to it. And we also just have to be aware of where God is trying to get us to go on our healing journey, because we know healing is going to be a continuous process in life, and it's going to be a continuous journey. We have to make sure that when it's time for people to get off the train, that they exit and go, and when it's time for more to get on, that they get on, and that at the every time that it's a loading dock, that we're not making people have to work so hard to get into places and spaces that we were already supposed to give to God and let people go of. And so it's just important. It's just important overall to just think about just overall healthy relationships. Gail and Darnisha has made some great points as just overall of, what does that look like and why it's so important. And so, do you guys have anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
I was going to just say one more thing, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, is that it's okay to be different. When we're going through this, we're not going to look like everybody else around us. And that's, in most cases, we're not. And so that's okay. You're doing something better. You're doing something different than you've probably been taught or that you've probably done. And you need to get on the other side of that. So don't be afraid to look different, even if it's, and generally God heals us from the inside out, right? Um, and oftentimes when we get to that point, we start looking different on the outside. Oh, you don't used to, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't da 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 da. Da. It's okay. Like, don't feel bad because you can no longer your soul and the conviction of things that you used to do. It's convicting you, so you can no longer participate. And everybody doesn't deserve an explanation. It's simply like, nah, I'm cool. I don't have to do that. We don't. Everybody doesn't deserve an explanation on your healing journey. You can continue to move on with your life, and it's okay to feel and look different because that's what God is trying to get you to do, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I did want to end it with that.
Yes. The last thing I just heard was real healing starts when you are no longer willing to hold on to anything just because.
Yeah.
Um, Real healing begins when we admit it's time to really make a change. And so God just wants us to be connected to the right people. He wants us to make the right changes that we need to make and not be afraid to do it. Um, do no longer cap yourself or limit yourself to just having to be in one place or one space. Allow God to truly, get into the cracks of your heart that is hurting and broken. And we know a lot of times we didn't touch on this, and it would have been good to elaborate more. But trauma,
We're gonna get to that though. We're gonna
yes,
get to
we
I was
will.
gonna say, go
I
ahead.
know, but
that.
trauma. So I look forward to talking about how trauma affects relationships moving forward. But we most definitely know that God wants to be able to heal the deepest parts of our hearts that have been broken by trauma or people just in general. Every trauma is different, and we know that, but we just got to keep trusting and believing God that while we're on this healing journey, that He most definitely has to be the forefront of it.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Nope.
I was just gonna say, follow us on TikTok. We're gonna start posting videos there on glow.star7 on TikTok. Follow us on YouTube as well. It's all in the caption. Also, you can email us at glowstars101@gmail.com if you have any direct questions, if you want to book us for any groups, um, for your church, or for any events that you have coming up. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining in and tuning in with us. Whoever is watching, thank you so much. We truly appreciate all the love and support. Continue to follow us and continue to see how God will give you tools and give you different things that you need along your healing journey.
Yep. Thank you.